introduction. A good afternoon to one and all. My humble pranams to His Divine Soul, Parama Pujya Sri 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 Dr. Bharatanath Mahaswamiji, Parama Pujya Sri 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 Dr. Nirmalananda Mahaswamiji, Revered Sri Sri Dr. Prakashnath Swamiji. I, Dr. Prasad CSMV, HOD Civil Engineering Department, SJBAT, welcome you all to this webinar on Advanced Structural Systems organized by Civil Engineering Department. SJBAT was established in the year 2001 and Civil Engineering Department in SJBAT was started in the year 2009. Civil Engineering Department has an intake of 120 UG students and also running PG programs in structural engineering and CAD structures. The department has a video consultancy and research center catering to the needs of the industry. The department has MOUs with industries, which is helping faculty and students for academic enrichment and industry interaction. The department is organizing technical talks, FDPs, national and international conferences from time to time for the benefit of civil engineering fraternity. Innovative structures are the order of the day. The thoughts of designers and architects have to be implemented with precision. Design of structural systems is a challenge due to this. To address such gaps and for the knowledge enhancement of all stakeholders in civil engineering, this webinar is being organized. Dr. Naveen, Assistant Professor at National Institute of Engineering, Mysore, with profound knowledge in this area is the right person to talk on the subject. I now request Dr. Naveen Kumar, Associate Professor, Civil Engineering Department at SJBAT to welcome everyone and introduce the speaker to the audience. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor. Once again, good morning, good afternoon to all. So, I, Dr. Naveen Kumar DT, once again welcome you all for the technical talk on advanced structural systems. So, indeed, I am very much privileged to introduce our distinguished speaker for today and my good friend, Dr. Naveen BO. Dr. Naveen BO completed BE Civil in the year 2006 from Bapuji Institute of Engineering and Technology, Davangere, and MTech Structural Engineering from Sri Jayachamrajendra College of Engineering, Mysore, in the year 2009. Sir has obtained his PhD from National Institute of Technology, Surathkal, in the year 2017. Sir has a total experience of 11 years in industry, research and teaching as well. Sir is presently working in National Institute of Engineering, Mysore as Assistant Professor. Sir has been guiding various PG and UG level projects related to structural engineering since the year 2010. Sir has delivered expert talks on various subjects in different institutions on topics related to structural engineering. For the benefit of students at UG and PG level, Sir has been building a website to share his knowledge in the field of structural engineering. Sir has also published 11 papers in various national and international journals and conference proceedings. Okay, so this is about small brief introduction about our distinguished speaker today. So now I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Naveen BO, sir. Sir, kindly take the session from now.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor. So before I begin, I would like to thank the HOD, Head of the Department, Department of Civil Engineering, SJBAT Institute of Technology, to providing the opportunity to give this special talk. And also I thank Professor Naveen Kumar DT to introduce about me. So students, just I want to begin this today's special talk. So hope everyone can listen to my voice. Okay. So the today's topic is advanced structural system. So before we move on to the presentation of today's technical talk, so let us know what exactly the outcome. So what is the takeaway? So after this presentation, in what direction you can able to think of? Okay. So if you see, so particularly, I think the targeted participants are particularly UG and PG students. So they should be able to start thinking in the higher level. Okay. And also you should be able to further think how to apply the fundamental concepts, okay, that you have learned so far from core subjects like structural analysis, so design and detailing of RC and steel structure, and the various concepts of pre-stress. All those things you should be able to think, so where exactly it has been applied in the real-time situation. Okay. And most of the cases, so what you studied so far is the analysis of individual members like beams, columns, okay, RF frames, like this. But today's sessions, we are going to see how exactly as a whole, you should be able to apply all the knowledge what you got in your studies. Okay. So the second outcome is you should be able to know the advancement, okay, in the structural system. So particularly in this topic, I have selected the topic particularly regarding the high-rise structural system. And finally, you should be able to know in what way these structural systems are advantageous with respect to achieve the long span. Okay, that is the three important aspects you should be able to know after this technical talk. Okay. So these are the contents of this today's technical talk. That's already just a brief note. So before we move on to this actual types of structural systems and its advancements, so let us try to understand a simple way. What is a structural system? Okay. So the structural system, if you see, in a simplest way, we can able to define it is a structural system is one which is going to transfer the loads. Okay. So through the interconnected elements or the members, right? So that's what in your UG studies or PE studies, what you have done so far, you analyze the individual structural element. But now, if you think of a structural system as a whole, you should be able to assess the interaction between those structural systems and how exactly they are going to transfer the loads. So ultimately to the foundation. So without exceeding the stresses. Okay. Under the various criteria that you already know. So the deflection criteria, it may be a stress criteria. Okay, so safely it has to transfer all the forces to the ground without exceeding the allowable stresses in the members. Okay, so for example, you just take this example. So this example you can able to see, this is a bridge. Okay, it may be a beam type or it may be arch type. Okay, or it may be a suspension, cable stayed bridge. Okay, and it may be a cantilever or truss type. So whatever the complexity of the structural system, ultimately the objective of the particular structural system has to transfer the forces, okay, ultimately to the ground without exceeding the allowable stresses in all the members, what you are seeing now. So in this picture, you can see the blue marks indicate the tension and the red mark indicates the compression. So we will see, we'll go to see in detail in the next this one. So that is not the case. It is not only in the case of bridges and all. If you take a simple frame structure, you already know. Okay. So if you say if you take this frame structure, so this consists of slab. Okay. And you can see this is the peripheral beam, and this is the column. So the main objective is entire the loads has to be distributed ultimately to the foundation. And that is one. So as a whole, okay. The structural system is a system in which there is an assemblage of all the structural members and entire thing it will behave as a whole. Okay. And what is the objective? It has to transfer all the forces to the ground without exceeding the allowable stresses. That is what a structural system means. Okay. So once we know what is the structural system, we should be able to understand the broad categories of a structural system. Okay. So just I'm going to introduce on what way you are going to choose a structural system. Okay. So for example, you want to build something. So there are various requirements. Okay. There are various approach is there in order to select a particular structural system. So what is that? What is the first approach? The first and basic approach is the functional requirements. Okay. The functional requirements, the structural material. Okay. The types of loads to be resisted and the load resisting mechanism. And also the one more is there, what type of forces your member is going to carry. Okay, in what way it is going to transfer the loads. Okay, that's what we are going to see. Okay, the first one, if you take the first one, we can able to categorize the structural requirement or a structural system based on the functional requirement. I think you know, starting from residential building, whether it is a educational building, whether it is an institutional building, assembly building of a business, you take any type of building, first you should be able to understand what is the functional requirement of a particular building. Because you see, we can't able to adapt the same structural system for all these requirements, right? It's not possible. So in the first scenario, we should be able to select, or we should be able to decide what type of structural system we should be able to implement for particular function. Okay, that is one basic thing. So the next category of a structure system you should be able to decide is whether your structure is made up of what type of material, because material is most important. No? All these stresses, forces, if you want to transfer this, the strength of material is the most important criteria. Okay. The next thing is, so what type of structural system or the material you are going to use in your structural system? Whether it is a load-bearing masonry structure, okay, whether it is a wood structure, you can able to see so many wooden trusses like this, or it may be a concrete structure, okay, or whether your building is a steel structure or it is a composite structure. You should be able to decide which structural material you should be able to you are going to implement for the entire structural system. Okay, that is the second one. So what about the third one? The third one is what types of loads to be resisted. So this is most important. So because if you take a normal residential building, okay, if you want to take only gravity load, then your design will be different. But if you want to take the lateral loads, earthquake loads, then the design it will going to vary. So that's what. So the next third criteria is you should be able to decide what are the various forces that is acting on your structure. Okay. So one is gravity, it is nothing but the dead loads. Second one is whether you are going to consider the lateral loads like earthquake and wind. Third one is dynamic, moving loads and vibrations. They are most important in case of bridges, okay, and machine foundations. And fourth one is fire. Okay, this is most critical. So in case of public buildings, okay, in case of commercial complexes, shopping malls, some important buildings, the fire is one of the most important criteria you should be able to design your structure, okay, subjected to fire, or whether you are going to whether that structure is a water retaining structure, okay, and whether the structure is a earth retaining structure. So like this. So you should be able to assess what are the various forces that is acting basically on the structure. Okay, that is one. So what about the fourth one? So the fourth one is load resisting mechanism. You see, we are just moving on to a very specific thing. Okay. So once you know what are the external loads, then you should be able to think of how exactly your structure system has to resist those external loads, right? So whether you can able to build a moment resisting frame, or you can adopt a shear wall system. If it is a very high rise, you should go to tubular structural system. And if architecture, okay, based on the architectural view, if you want a diagonal structural system, you can able to adopt. And some advanced structural systems like hybrid structure, which is a combination of, let us say, all the above. There is a hybrid structure. So that is one. And the last but not least, so is the type of primary stresses which your individual structural member is subjected to. That is most important, because the most important aspect of the categorizing the structural system is based on the type of primary stress, okay, that may arise in the members of the structures, which is going to have the design load. For example, in your designs and all, you have taken various loads, no? Dead loads, live loads. What you are doing, you are going to multiply it by a factor of safety, right? 1.5, let us say. So 1.5 dead load plus live load. So what you are doing, so what is that actually? 1.5 dead load and live load is nothing but your design load. Okay. So whether when your structure is subjected to the design load, so what are the forces which are going to develop in that structural member? Okay, majority, almost all the forces, whether it may be gravity load or it may be lateral load, Ultimately, as we discussed in the beginning, it has to go to the foundation. Okay, so how it is going to, so how your load is going to travel, okay, from your superstructure to substructure, whether in case of by tensile forces or compressive force or combination, okay, or it may be the form of shear and bending. Okay, you see, when all these stresses will going to combine, so then the complexity will going to arise. Okay, so this is a small introduction to the structural system. So where we can able to categorize based on so many criteria. So just I think you came to know what is the complexity by even by choosing your structure system, right? So this is what I would like to share in this introductory part. So in the next session, we will see that. So what are the advancements in particularly the high-rise structure system? Because if you see in India, so slowly we are moving on to the construction of high-rise structure. Okay. So this is the present trend of this development of advanced structural systems in order to build the high-rise structure. Okay. So if you see, if you take some past 2 decades, so there is a lot of development is going on in order to achieve the height, okay, with respect to height and also with respect to span. Okay. So this is the second topic. I'm going to particularly choose with respect to advancement of structures with respect to height. Okay. So before we move on to this latest or present trends of this high-rise structure, let us have one question. So we just pose this question yourself. So whether these tall buildings or the achievement of the height is a product of modern industrialized world? Is it so? Whether from recent past 10 years, whether we are building this high-rise structure or it is from the past thousands of years. Just we should have to think of. So whether because due to this uh, modernization or the improvement of this technology, we can able to achieve the height. No, it is not so, because you see some of the example. Okay, so these tall buildings are not the byproduct of modern civilization. Okay, so or modern industrialization, because it is the inherent human desire. Okay, to build a skyward. Okay, it is an inherent human desire in order to go for tall structure. So once you see this is the Mayan temples are built, which is about 30 to 60 meters. I think you know the Qutub Minar, okay, is around 30, 73 meters, and you everyone very well know this. Okay, the Pyramid of Giza, okay, it is about 139-meter high. So these they have built around 2580 BC, the long back. So that's what. So these tall buildings are not byproduct of modern industrialized world, but in the so many past decades, we are seeing so much developments due to technology and all. So that's what we are going to understand today. Okay. So this is what I told you, to the rapid urbanization and population growth. So there is a necessity of or the requirement of this tall buildings. So just for your information, just I am sharing some of the important, which is one of the India's tallest building. Okay, just think of what type of structure system they would have adopted. You can just explore later. Okay, so that building is called the 42. The building name itself is called the 42. It is a skyscraper in Kolkata, the West Bengal, India. You can just have a look at this. Okay, so this is a schematic picture. But in this picture, you can just see. So this is the actual picture of the building, the 42, which is the India's tallest building. Like this, if you just explore the tallest structural systems in India, one is Kolkata. That's what we saw. This 42. There is 268-meter high. And next is Mumbai. So many buildings are in Mumbai. And if you take Bangalore itself, so which is the highest, the tallest building in Bangalore? Have you ever think of that? So the tallest building in Bangalore is about 153-meter high. And World Trade Center, you already know this, and UB Tower. Just have a look at this. So this is Mantri Pinnacle, okay, so which is having 153-meter high, and this is so World Trade Center, Bangalore, so 128 meter, and UB City. You see, the structural system for all these buildings are not same. So because why? The same thing what we discussed, based on the functional requirement. Okay. So based on what are the different load consideration they are taken, or depend upon the your money also. If there is sufficient funds available, you can adopt the advanced structural system, or because of the architectural point of view also. And there are so many ways you can able to decide the structural system. Okay? So that is one thing. So the next thing is, we'll just move on to the next one. If you take particularly the structural system for tall structural system, so we can able to again categorize into two types. So one is interior type, second one is the exterior type. So what exactly the meaning? So the meaning here is, as we discussed in our beginning slides, whether your structural system is going to resist the lateral forces or not. That is one thing. So if your structural system is going to resist the lateral force, then how it is going to resist? That is the next question. Okay. So ultimately, all your lateral forces has to go to the foundation. That you already know. Then how it will go? Okay. So the interior type of this structure is nothing but all the lateral forces coming on the structure, it will be taken care by the structural element which is located at the interior portion or at the center of your building plan. So those structures we will call it as interior. Or if your all the lateral forces which is taken care by only the periphery of your building, let us say, okay, for all major structural element which is only at the periphery of your building. So then we will call those types of structural systems as exterior type. Okay. So let us see, we'll see this. Okay. So let us see this. There are so many things are there. I'm not going in detail. I think the first one you already know. So what is this? So this is a frame structure, right? So first one, what you're seeing is a moment resisting frame. So everyone know this. It is just a combination of beam, column, and slab. But if you go higher and higher, you see the number of stories, like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. If you go higher and higher, the structural system itself should be able to change, because you see, once you observe this at the center, what you are seeing here, all these we will call it as interior type. As I told, all the lateral forces will be taken care by the structural element which is located at the interior portion of the structure. Okay? So this is exterior type. I think so many of you already know these terminologies like a belt truss system, okay, frame tube, okay, truss tube. There are so many types of structural systems are there where the majority of your lateral loads will be taken care by the peripheral columns and beams. Okay. So in this picture, if you see, if you take, you just consider the interior type, let us say. So what is the interior type according to you? According to you, you just came to know interior type is nothing but all the lateral forces will be taken care by the structural members which is located at the center. So one important structural component or a structural subcomponent or subsystem, we will call it as shear wall. Okay. So you see the blue color line, what you are seeing is the various types of structural system with where you can expect the shear walls or shear stress at the interior portion of your building. Let us see the interior portion. Okay. So this is also, so this concept what you are seeing here is nothing but the shear wall system where entire the lateral forces will be resisted by the your shear wall. Okay. So let us try to understand. So what is exactly the building what you are seeing right now in front of you is the first reinforced concrete, okay, which is built in 1906, and it is not a first reinforced concrete. It is the first tallest building. Okay, it is the first skyscraper reinforced concrete, which is having only 16 stories. You see the advancement. Now, what is the total number of stories you can expect? This is 16 means 16 people. So 48. Okay. So what we can expect here Now it is 800 or 900 meter high. You see the advancement of the structure system in the present scenario. Okay? That is one thing. And the next basic thing is if you consider the moment resisting frame. So what is moment resisting frame? A simple moment resisting frame consists of your horizontal beams, or we can call it as girder, or it may be columns with monolithic slab. So the next question is again the same question. So how this moment resisting frame will going to resist your loads, or how exactly your load is going to transfer to the your foundation. Okay, if you take moment resisting frame, so majority of the loads which is going to transfer, okay, to the foundations or the resistance offered by the flexural stiffness. Okay, the stiffness is the governing criteria, right? Because if you see you have designed the slab and beam, no, what is the governing criteria you have designed? You calculate the bending moment, no? The same way, if you take the structural as a whole, the flexural stiffness or the bending action is main responsible to transfer all the loads to your substructure. Okay, so this is one more example, right? So what is the second way? So just the second way where your all the loads will go to transfer to the substructure is through axial stiffness. Okay, right? I think you know you have designed this column, right? I think everybody know how to design the column. So in order to, so what is the if you take a column, it is strong in compression, right? But it will also take the bending also. But there are some special structural systems where you can able to design in such a way that all the lateral forces will be able to transfer only through axial stiffness. Okay, so that we will going to see in the next slide. So you see, you just imagine all buildings. Okay, all buildings are nothing but a freestanding cantilever beam. Okay, you imagine all the buildings on the earth is nothing but a freestanding cantilever beam. Okay, if you take this F as a force, let us say a lateral load. Okay, you just take this F as a lateral load. If you apply this, you just see. So the ultimately all the forces will go to the substructure by axial stiffness. Okay, that is the second way. So those we will call it as a bridge strength. And the further, if we just move on to this next advancement in the structural system, is nothing but the outrigger system. Okay? So that's what, if you go taller and taller, we can't able to use the same structural system. So, right, for example, the basic structural system is moment resisting frame. So can you able to use the same structural moment resisting frame if your building is 100 or 150 meter high? No, not possible. You should be able to think in what way your entire structure, okay, will be stable, okay, and it is economical, and also the aesthetically it should look good. That is a challenging for the structural design engineers. Okay, so that's what, if you go higher and higher, some of the additional structural systems we should be able to implement into our building. So those are called outrigger system. I think everyone almost all know this, the concept of outrigger system. So the best example I can give, the concept of outrigger system is not a new thing. So what exactly we're seeing here, so is nothing but a ship. So can you identify the outrigger here? You just see here. So this whatever you are seeing, these horizontal members, so which are given in order to provide the stability for this vertical post. I think everybody is seeing this. So this is a vertical post. In order to give the stability for this vertical post, they have given some horizontal member. Okay, and they are tied to other end, extreme end. Okay, so that's what. So these horizontal members are nothing but outrigger. So the same concept has been involved in the advanced structure system, so that your taller or slender your structure, in order to get the stability, you can go for this outrigger system. Okay, so that's what we are discussing. So in order to understand the concept of outrigger system, you just see this. You just compare. What is the first one? The first one is ordinary moment resting frame. Okay. The second one is core outrigger system. Again, the same question. How exactly they are going to transfer your lateral loads or gravity loads to the substructure? You see, you just compare here. So T is nothing but tension, C is compression, and M is moment. In this case, T dash, C dash, and M dash. What is happening here? Just observe. So what is happening here? So T dash and C dash is greater than T and C. What is the meaning? In outrigger structural system, the tension and compression is more. Okay. But what happened here? But in case of outrigger system, the development of the moment at the bottommost level, okay, for example, top of the footing in a simple way, is less than the normal moment resting frame. So what is the meaning here? You may ask question, why is this tension and compression is increasing? So just I will let you know, in any structure, okay, if you take any structure, you can able to easily handle the tension and compression. But if your movement is more, it is very difficult to handle that movement with respect to design, with respect to detailing, okay, with respect to economy, if you give more member sizes, more steel, okay. But in case of tension and compression, you can able to easily handle this tension and compression. So rather than this movement. So that's what's the advantage of the structural system. Okay. So not only the base moment is going to reduce, your movement of the building with respect to, you see, wherever the outrigger is given, we can expect a reduction in the moment. You see, there is a reduction in the moment where you are given this outrigger. That is one. And this is one schematic representation. So this outrigger, you can able to give a RC outrigger or it will be a steel outrigger. So what you are seeing exactly here, the red color portion is nothing but this elevation. Okay. So this is what I was seeing here. So what we are discussing now is the interior type structure. Okay. So the second one, I'm just choosing the important. I'm not discussing all the things here. I'm just selecting an important. Okay. So thing what we are. So the second is shear wall and frame interaction. Okay. So the second, the next most important structural component or subcomponent of any structure is shear wall. Okay. So if you are able to build, so just the same question. If you want to build a moment resting frame for 50 floors, only columns, beams, and slab, you take one building. And one building you take columns, beams, slabs, and the shear wall. So which one is more effective? So if you don't provide the shear wall, what will happen? I think you know the design, no? Your compressive force, moments, everything will going to increase at the bottommost level. And you should be able to give the big size columns, 1 meter by 1 meter, it may be 2 meter by 2 meter. So nobody will going to agree for that, right? So in that case, in order to achieve the economy, okay, in order to achieve the economy of the entire structure, and you should be able to reduce the structural member sizes, you should be able to use this shear wall and interaction with your normal moment resting frame. So this is one of the structural concept you should be able to understand. Okay? So that's what I told here. You just see one example. Okay. So one example, what you are seeing here is a plan. Okay, is a plan of a building which is about 40 to 70 story height here. So inside this, just see. So this is the core. So what we are discussing here is interior type structure. So what is interior? Majority of the lateral forces will be taken care by the structural element. Here it is a shear wall, which is located at the center, right? So you see all the shear walls, or we will call it as core wall, it is located at the center. And remaining, you see, you can see the columns, beams, and is the flash slab. So there will be interaction between those two. Okay. I just saw one so 2 minutes video here, so that can able to understand the same building. So what you are seeing is animation is the same building or the same plan what you saw. You see, so these are the core, okay, or the shear wall core, and these are the frames, okay, maybe columns and flat slab. So there will be interaction between this core wall and your frame in order to resist the lateral force particularly. Okay. So that is one thing. So what exactly you are seeing now here, these are the columns of a flat slab, and so inside what you are seeing like a box, those are nothing but a concrete core wall. Okay. So the next, so ultimate. So after these, I just shared, okay, starting from a moment resting frame, okay, on outrigger system. Okay. The next one is this frame and shear wall interaction. And the latest, if you take this example, I think everyone know this. Okay, tallest reinforced concrete structure is your okay, is the Burj Khalifa. So that everybody knows. So what type of structure system it is? So can you guess what type of structure system? It is a reinforced concrete structure, but particularly what type of structure system it has been adopted, because it is the world the tallest reinforced concrete. No, they can't easily choose the type of structure system based on some a small criteria. Okay, you should be able to think of all the scenarios. Okay, so this is basically a reinforced concrete structure. Okay, you just see the video. A small video is there. So after this video, you just answer yourself or think yourself what type of structure system. So it has been adopted. As I told you, it is impossible to construct this world tallest building, almost a kilometer high, by using this your beam column system, moment resting frame. It is impossible. Okay. You just think of what type of structure system it may be adopted. So it will come right in front of your eyes. You just see what is that actually. You were seeing now. So what exactly it is rising. You can just think of. It's basically reinforced concrete material. You see, they have chosen the material as reinforced concrete. Then they should choose what type of structure system you should be able to adopt. Okay. So many concepts are involved here in the design, so aerodynamic designs, the dynamic analysis. Okay. So many things are involved in order to construct this building. Okay. The skyscraper, let us say. You see, total 818-meter high it is. Okay. So just if you compare the height of this Eiffel Tower with this Burj Khalifa, you can able to appreciate. So what is the advancement has already happened, okay, in the real situation, real scenario, and what is the technology they are adopting in order to build these type of structure systems. Okay, you see, it's almost double. Okay, it is almost it's 324. You see, exactly it is almost double the height of your Eiffel Tower, and it is a reinforced concrete. Okay? So that's what this is the end of this session one. Okay, I just split off this technical talk into two sessions, three sessions. Let us say introduction part, and this is the second part. So we have discussed what we discussed. We discussed starting from Great Pyramid, right? Starting from Great Pyramid of Giza, which is built around 2000 BC, and we have seen. So we just saw what is the advancement that has happened in order to build the world's tallest reinforced concrete structure. So I think so what type of structure system it is? So if you see, I think if you think of again that video, the structure system what they adopted is nothing but the shear wall. What exactly you saw, that is just core wall. It is nothing but a core wall. So those core wall are nothing but the shear wall. Okay. And external steel they are going to cover with external steel. So the next advancement in the high-rise structure system is the diagonal structure system. Okay. This time still in session 2. Okay, still in high-rise structures. You just see this. Okay, so this is why I chosen this diagonal structure system is just we have discussed. The lateral load transfer mechanism is through axial stiffness. Okay, first one is through flexural stiffness, and the second one is through axial stiffness. The best example is the diagonal structural system. Okay, just observe. We can't able to use the other structural system in order to achieve the architecture behind this. Okay, okay, we can able to span for greater length, eliminate large columns. You see, can anybody see or seeing the columns here? No. Okay, can able to achieve the large spaces without any column. And I just have stopped this video to just observe. So what difference they are observing? I think you know, you already saw so many buildings where the beams, columns are there, right? There is a moment resting frame. But what is the difference between the moment resting frame with this diagonal system? The major difference is the moment resting frame is transferring your lateral force, particularly, okay, in the form of flexural stiffness, like bending of slabs, bending of beams, and development of movements in the column that we already discussed. But here, if you see, there are no columns, which is vertical. You see what you are seeing here, those columns are nothing but what exactly I am pointing out here. Or these columns are inclined. That is the main difference between a normal frame structure and this diagonal structure, right? Those columns, these are steel, okay? So these are inclined in nature. So that whatever the forces coming on this, it's going to transfer through axial stiffness, okay, like tension or compression. So we can able to achieve the architectural view also. So you see all peripheral structure, the framework, we're having inclined column. We can save the money also. And also one most important concept what should you understand here. So if you adopt this structural system, okay, in future, okay, it may be like any blast load, or it may be any impact, or it may be collision of any aircraft. In some or the other way, if any damage, okay, it may happen, we can expect only the localized failure. Okay, we can't able to expect the complete collapse of the structure. That is one of the most important criteria in this diagonal structure. Okay, you can avoid the progressive collapse, okay, due to the external explosion. So that is one thing. So this will come under the category of exterior structure. Okay? So because all your forces will be taken care by, you see, in case of normal frame structure, we can expect the progressive collapse. But if you adopt this particular type of diagonal structure system, so we can able to, you see, the effect of damage is localized here. Okay, so that we can able to prevent the collapse of the entire structure. So that is one. So we'll just take some case study. So one case study I want to share is iLabs building in Hyderabad. Okay. You just see. So this is a diagonal structure system which is there in Hyderabad. So what type of structure is? It is the exterior type structure. Okay. So if you see, this total length of the building is about the longer dimension is 55 meters, and the width is 23, and the total height is 21 meters. And this structure we are going to use effectively. We can able to utilize the light, okay, and it is a barrier-free, usable office floor. You see, so these are nothing but first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Okay, so 4-story building. Okay. You see, this is one more picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, so this is a 5-story building. I just observe the topmost, what you are seeing in white color. So the next picture, what you are seeing is inside. Okay, this is the inside picture of that particular lab. Okay, you see, so this is the topmost floor. It is the topmost floor where you can see the column free space. So anybody is seeing the column inside this? No. That's what. There is the advantage of using the structural system. Okay, where it is going to satisfy your architectural requirements, it is going to attract the people, okay, and it is also to give the importance of that particular city. Okay. You see, whatever the things you are seeing here, these are nothing but your peripheral, okay, columns which are inclined in nature, okay, on the columns free space, okay, and the next picture if you see. This is the top floor. So what exactly you are seeing is the top floor. They have made it as a garden. It is a wonderful view. Okay. And one more thing, what you are exactly seeing here, one small detailing. Okay. I think you have studied the steel structure. And you have studied the steel structure, so many connections, so moment connection, pin connection, so many things you have studied. No? So all these you should be able to map here. So if you see this, so this we will call it as node. Okay. What exactly you are seeing? This we will call it as node basically. So what is happening here? Always you should be able to think of the basic question. Okay. So from now onwards, as a civil engineer, you should be able to keep one question in your mind. How exactly the loads, okay, whether it may be gravity load or it may be a lateral load, it is going to transfer effectively, efficiently, okay, to the substructure. So can you just think of how exactly the force is transferring here? You already know. So beam column in your building or in your institute, so many, I think all institutes will be normal frame structure. Okay, you saw so many columns, so many beams, slabs inside your classroom. What is there? Slab is there, beam is there, and then column is there. That everyone know. But here, what is happening here? So this is basically a steel structure. So what you are seeing here is a network of hollow MS section. You see? So these are nothing but hollow MS section. It is a network. It is not a one member. It is a network of hollow steel section with the nodes. Okay, that's what this is the junction. We will call it as nodes. So that are welded. Okay, you see all these hollow MS section and this particular are welded at this junction. You see these are welded for this plate. Okay, that is one thing. And what about the next one? You see, one is what is this actually? So this is nothing but the beam. So this beam is coming from the your core of your building. Okay, and it is going to connect. So this is the pin connection. Okay, that's what I told you. Know this diagram structural system. They are going to transfer through axial stiffness. There will be compression or tension. There will be no movements. So pin connection they have adopted. And what about the floor? In case of normal building, we can expect slab, no RC slab. But here it is not RC slab. What you are seeing right now, okay, this red mark is nothing but your composite floor slab. Okay. So that is one thing. And the second diagram structure system. So what I just selected. So for you is the for Gherkin, London's most so instantly recognizable tower. Okay, can you just have a look at this? I think everybody knows this. Okay, one or the other way, everyone has seen this picture. Okay, so this is a wonderful example of diagram structure system due to this aesthetics and all. Okay, so this tower is particularly aerodynamically designed, okay, to reduce the wind load on the structure. Right, you can just see easily it can able to resist the wind load if you compare the other buildings with the other buildings. So this particular diagram structure system is designed aerodynamically. Okay, and the building is a steel frame. Okay, you see this is a steel frame and a glass facade with the dimension shape. Okay, you see the advancement of the structure system. So this is one more view of the entrance. You see, that's what in the diagram structure system. What you should be able to observe here, your columns are inclined here. You see, these are inclined columns, and they are going to resist the compression and tension only. And these junction are there, no? You are seeing this junction. So these junction are nothing but your floors. Okay. So that floors you can't do RC. Okay, it is a composite deck slab. That is one thing. So that is the end of the session 2. Okay, or part 2 of this talk. And the last part of this technical talk, I just selected the long span. Okay. Up to here, what we discussed. Up to here, we have encountered what are the various structural system we can able to adopt in order to achieve the height, okay, with respect to height, right? Okay, we saw moment resting frames, we saw the shear frame interaction, okay, we saw the shear wall, okay, structure system with Burj Khalifa, and we saw the diagonal structures. So basically, we saw both RC structures and steel structures and the corresponding structural systems which has been advanced so through from past several decades. So now we will move on to the next section, that is long span and complex structure system. Okay. So this is a little bit out of this box. Okay, I think so. These concepts are not introduced in the curriculum, I think. So that's why I chosen this topic. So no need to worry. I think so many times you have been saw these type of structure. Let us see what are those. So long span and complex structure system we can able to categorize or classify. So based on first one is form active system. So other four are there. You see this long span and complex structure system we can able to categorize into four criteria. But today I'm not going to discuss all those four criteria. So one we will call it as form active structure system. Second one is vector active. Third one is section active, and last one is the surface active system. Okay. So here today we are going to discuss only the form active structure system, and we are going to end the session. Okay. Again, you see, again the form active structure system we can able to categorize as cable structure, a tent structure, pneumatic structure, and arc structure. Okay. So just for your information, I'm going to take a typical example. So where you can able to appreciate the particular type of structure system. Okay. So that's what, as the name itself indicates. So what is the name of this? What we are going to discuss now? We are going to discuss about form active. Okay. The name itself is giving some clue. Okay. Your structure. Okay. The same question. So the majority of the loads will be taken care by the form. Form means shape. What shape your structure is? Whether it is a parabolic shape, okay, or it is a hyperbola, okay. So like this, okay, because these form active structure system, or it may be a dome. So, but these special type of structure system can't be implemented everywhere. Okay, just we will see. So as the name itself indicates, the form active structures are those active structures, okay, in which see the loads are taken by the form. That's what I told, or the shape of the structure. Okay. And one more interesting concept here is the form active structure system redirect external force by simple normal stress. This is one of the peculiar property, or we can able to peculiar action of particular structure system. You see, only the arc action or by compression or by tension. Okay, you just keep in mind the form active structure system will going to take care of your external forces by with respect to normal stress. It may be compressive or tension. That's all. There will be no movements, no torsion, nothing. Okay, we will see how, what is the application, real application in our society. Okay. And the bearing mechanism of form active structure system, okay, just essentially in the material form. That's what we discussed. We will see what is that. So I just see this one typical forms of this structure system. Okay. So first one we'll call it as, there are four, basically there are four types of forms. One is hyper. Okay. So these are also known as adaptive mechanical structure. Okay. So these form active structure system are also called as adaptive mechanical structures, in which the form of the structure or building can be altered. You see, so these are nothing but a temporary structure. You can able to remove it or disassemble it, and again you can able to implement. But most of the case we are not going to do that. Okay. but it may be altered mechanically in response to your environmental requirement. Okay, last one is barrel vault. Okay. So this hyperbola or paraboloid or elliptical paraboloid. So these shapes are simpler to analyze and also reconstruct. That is one of the advantages. You see, so this is a double parabola, okay, where the external load, okay, sometimes it may be a snow because nobody can walk on that. Only snow loads can be on the suction force, so due to wind. So all those will be taken care by your members. Here, those are the cables or posts which are subjected to compression and tension force. So that the last one is inflatable. So this is very interesting. Just we are going to discuss what is the structural behavior. So this is basically works on this internal pressure. So purposefully, an internal pressure will be created, okay, by using some advanced mechanism, or air pressure will be created from the inside, so that tensile stresses will going to develop in that membrane. That we will see now. You see, this is one best example is conic. No, this is hyper and conic and the barrel board. You just see this. So, so if you see this, there is some advantage is also there, and disadvantage also. Okay. So what is the advantage? Just I will not go in detail about this. You see the first picture. So what you can able to see in the first picture? So in the first picture, you see this is a pre-stressed reaction. I think you know what is the concept of pre-stress. If not, you are going to learn it. So what is happening here, particularly for these type of structural systems, we are going to apply the pre-stress for these cables or membrane. So what is happening here? If you apply the force, you see this is the force they have been applied already. Okay? If you apply the force, what will happen? The reactions will going to develop in the foundation. Okay? So this is the pre-stress reaction. So before construction itself, before the structure will going to come into the function, we are going to pre-stress it and we should be able to anchor it. Okay? So what happens? So in order to do this, we should need this great support. You see, the support conditions are most important, and you should be able to have the strong anchor with the tension on the foundation. That is most important. In normal cases, what will happen? The tension will not come into the foundation. If you take normal RC structure, your foundation is subjected to compressive force only. But in this case, what happens? Your entire force, the pre-stressing force and reaction is tried to pull the entire unit. You see, that's what a proper anchoring should be there, and your foundation should be analyzed and designed for tension force. Okay, that is most important. And what about the next one? You see, if any loads coming from the external forces, or it may be wind or it may be slow, additional reactions are going to develop. Okay, apart from the reactions due to this pre-stress. So that is one thing. That is very challenging. That's what the major disadvantage of these structures is that before receiving external loads, okay, they transmit strong compression and tension to the foundation. That's what I told you. So before they are going to receive the external loads, they are going to transmit entire the system. They are going to transmit the strong compression and tension to the foundation, so that the resultant balance. Okay, ultimately, what is your structure? You see, you take the sigma m is equal to 0, sigma v is equal to 0, sigma h is equal to 0. That's all about the civil engineer. No? Ultimately, the structure should not move. The structure should be in equilibrium. So that you should be able to satisfy. Okay. So that is one thing I want to discuss a little bit detail. Okay? You can just see some of the example of this formative structure system. And the first one is what we are discussing. So one example I took here. So Georgia Stadium in Atlanta. You see, just see the dimensions of that one. The dome is having 83-meter height. The structure length is 227 meters, and the width is 185 meters. Okay. You see, the stadium was the largest cable-supported dome in the world. Okay. You see the advancement of the structure system where they are built. So those are permanent structure. Okay. This is the largest cable-supported dome in the world, where we can able to use these concepts. Okay, you see, this is the picture what you are looking at right now. This is the inside picture. You see, everything is taken care by tension and compression. That's all. There will be no movements. That is the specialty of this structure system. Okay. So that is something. But you see, so these type of structure system, we may not expect always to build largest and tallest. No? So there are so many applications are there in our real life scenario. I think now we can able to recall. Okay, so many things you already saw in Bangalore. Okay, or in any other. If you are going for any, sometimes it may be implemented in what we can say toll gates and all. You see, all these are nothing but a tensile structure. Okay, particularly formative tensile structure, right? So what is this? The various applications of this tensile structure is, you see, you can able to use for the some restaurants or for the sunshade like this, right? You see, so for car parking, you can able to use this concept of tensile structure, okay? And you can able to use for auditorium, okay? So basically, we'll call it as tensile structure itself. Everything will be under tension here, okay? And we can able to use for walkway covering. Okay, I think you saw. You can just remember now. I think so many you can see in our state also, in our state itself. And one I saw in Infosys campus, inside Infosys campus for the canteen and all, they have used this type of tensile structure, right? So covering for restaurant and for swimming pools. Yeah, so many applications are there. That's all. So that's all about the cable structure. Just I will show the second. This is the ten structure. This is nothing but a ten structure. You see, these are nothing but the supporting post where they are going to support these cables or tents at the apex. This is the closer picture. The same thing. Okay. So it is a multi-purpose national sports stadium located in Nigeria. What exactly we are seeing now here is a multi-purpose stadium located in Nigeria. And the last one is the pneumatic structure. Okay, so this is a very important or very interesting concept. So what is happening here? The pneumatic structure, what exactly you are seeing here, that's what I told you. Now, you are going to create the internal pressure. Okay, internal pressure before you are going to apply this load. So particularly these pneumatic structure, they are going to implement where there is a snowfall. Okay, where there is snowfall, they can able to implement this. You see, it can able to withstand the wind load also and slow load also. You see, so this tension force and foundation reaction. The basic forces what it can able to transfer to the foundation. So this is one picture. What exactly you are seeing is a pneumatically pre-tensioned construction. Okay. So they consist of a layer that is subjected to tensile stress, which encloses a volume of air, just like a balloon. So the next thing is, so what exactly you are going to see, what you are seeing now here, the pneumatic structure system, okay, which is having a 144 meter. You see the length is 144 meter, and its width is 72 meter, and height is 22 meter. This is the auditorium inside. Okay. Oh, sorry, it is a ground where we can able to use for the sports activities. So finally, just I want to say these pneumatic structure systems are the systems that rely on basically the pressure of air is of primary support, right? So because if you see this picture, if there is no air inside, okay, there is no structure. The primary support is the inside air or the pressure. That is the most important thing you should be able to understand. Okay? And this it may be a single membrane or it may be a double membrane. Okay, it may be a spherical shape. There is a flexibility. There is no hard and fast rule that it should be in the same shape like this. So finally, I can say that the use of this pneumatic structure is more common. Okay, that's what in all the cases functional requirement. The first during the first slides and all we have discussed now. On what basis you are going to use or you are going to select the structure system. Okay, that's what. If you are going to use for the military purpose, all military structures should be safe, right? Should be safe, should be stable, and it should be portable, economical. You see, in that case, we can go for these type of pneumatic structures for the analysis wise also and implement wise also it will be simpler. Okay, so you see they are easily movable. Okay, and the application is not limited to, you see, you can use for medical stations, tents, okay, bulk storage, and it's capable of withstanding, you see, hurricane winds and loads of snow. That is the main thing. And pneumatic structures are flame resistant. You see, that is most important. If it is a military, your fire is a important criteria. It should not burn easily. You see, it should be flame resistant and UV protected structures. You see, easily it can be easily installed in one day. It depends upon the situation. So that is one thing. So with this, I'm going to end this technical talk. But this is not the complete end of this session. I call this as a series 1, okay, or series 1. So if opportunity is there, I can just continue or share my thoughts with respect to this advanced structural system. Okay. So I would like to first of all thank you, the coordinator, Professor Dr. Naveen Kumar DT, for organizing this technical talk. Okay. And also I thank the head of the department and principal of SJBIT Institute of Technology, Bangalore, for giving this opportunity. Okay. Finally, I thank my colleagues and professors who have encouraged and supported to present the technical talk like this. And I thank all the participants and students who are present here. And I hope they will go to think in a different way, in advanced level. They can able to see the structures from now onwards. Okay? So thank you all.
Hello, sir. Dr. Naveen, sir.
Yeah.
So we have some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
I'll ask one by one. First question is that, can we consider pyramid which type of structural system? A pyramid is a which type of structural system?
No, actually, so if you take the pyramid in the olden days, the past 2000 BC and all the structures still today they are standing because of the gravity action. Okay, so those structures we call it as a gravity structure.
Can we consider it as a tall structure, sir?
Sorry.
Can we consider pyramid as a tall structure?
No, actually, pyramid tall structure. You see, the classification of tall structure as having some criteria. Okay, so the pyramid is 130-meter height, no?
Yes.
The pyramid is 130-meter height. But if you take the IS code, okay, at the present scenario, if your building is beyond 50 to 150 meter, we'll call it as tall structure as per the codal specification. So we can take this as a tall structure.
Okay.
But as I told you, the functional requirement is most important. It has to serve for the people.
Yes.
To take the present scenario, that is one thing.
Next question is, sir, so which is the most common structural system being used presently in tall structures?
Most commonly, that's what the most common they are adopting is the shear wall and frame interaction. That is the most common they are adopting in the present structural design and analysis.
Sir, next one more question. So in modeling of these tall structures, so do we need to use reduction techniques to model such structures, because they are very large in scale and many times the computing facility may not be adequate. So are we using any reduction techniques, or we are modeling the entire structure?
No, actually, present scenario, we are having the advanced structural analysis software. Okay, starting from StatPro, okay, ETABS. So those are specially designed. Okay, those softwares are specially developed in order to analyze these type of structures. Okay, there is no limit. You can go for 100, 200 stories. You see, this Burj Khalifa, it has been StatPro has been used. Okay, for the analysis for Burj Khalifa.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering the questions. So still many questions are there. because of the limitation of the time, I cannot ask all the questions. So I'll mail you the questions so you can answer them through the mail, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, sir. Thank you once again for enlightening the participants on the topic of advanced structural system. Also, I thank all the participants for their patience hearing to make this event a grand success. There was almost around 75 number of participants were there, and my special thanks to our management, principal, and HOD sir, Dr. Prasad CSME sir, uh, for their constant support and encouragement in organizing such events, sir. And also thanks my fellow faculty members who have encouraged and gave support in all aspects to make this event as a grand success. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again, Naveen, sir.
So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Naveen Bio, sir, for a
Thank-
wonderful presentation on advanced structural system
Thank
design.
you.
It was, I think, it has put a lot of light onto many of the doubts. It also encouraged structural designers in knowing more. It was also a wonderful experience in following your lecture today, sir. So thank you. We will keep interacting with you, sir. Thank you, sir.